Hello friends, welcome back to ReddX Trace Amounts of Science. Today we're getting into r/stories about Kevin. Kevin is basically just a dumb guy or girl. Usually it's Kevina for girls, but they all go under the same subreddit, and I enjoy stories about dumb people, because sometimes I'm one of them. But it should be a good time. I think we've only done one saga of Kevin's, and that was Kevin in a big rig, but there's a bunch of good Kevin stuff on the channel, so check it out if you haven't. Thanks so much for being here today. Let's go ahead, get on into this thing if we shall, and this is Kevin and the pool. And I'm immediately jealous, Kevin, because I always wanted a pool. My father is a Kevin. Thankfully, I didn't live with him and barely contact him, but I still get to hear of his many, many misadventures. One day, Kevin decided he wanted a pool at the house that he inherited after his mother. He'd already been doing various reconstruction around the house, which he was not qualified for, which caused him to go into debt. And when he finally paid it off, he decided reconstruction wasn't for him. Instead, he went into construction. Because yes, what's easier than cleaning up somebody's thing? Making a whole new thing. Mind you, the reconstruction would not cause Kevin to go into debt if he were smart about it. However, Kevin's approach was to buy some tools, tear whatever he was reconstructing down, and then start building or fixing it. Oh, see, he didn't understand what reconstruction was. He thought you start from scratch every time. Which of course resulted in him having to hire pros to fix whatever the hell it is he had done to the thing. Turns out that Kevin actually didn't know how to do reconstruction, but was somehow convinced that he'd be able to do it. I mean, you watch a few YouTube tutorials. It's gonna look like shit the first few times you do it, but you'll learn eventually. Just tear it down and rebuild it 3 more times, whatever. When it came to the pool, of course, Kevin was no different. Kevin grabbed a shovel and spent long hours digging a long 2-meter deep rectangle hole for the pool. Yeah, it's just a hole with water in it, isn't it? The only thing is, he didn't know what to do with all the dirt that was left after all the digging, so he just left it there in a huge pile next to said hole for a few months. When I visited said dad, I said, "What are you gonna do with all the dirt?" And he replied, he was gonna start gardening, 'cause he could use up all the dirt if he starts gardening. Oh, cool. Good plan. Of course, all that took a long time to take off, and in the meanwhile, his wife, Kevina, decided to get another dog. Oh boy. Kevin now had 3 dogs, and one of them ended up having puppies. One of the puppies had a genetic defect to his front paw, but they only noticed it a few weeks after they were born, so they figured he must have fallen in the hole and broken his paw. Kevin called me a few days later and asked if I could take the puppy to the vet. The vet was of course horrified to learn that his owners just let him sit a few more days after they thought he had a broken leg. But yeah, it turned out to be genetic, and there was nothing that they could have done at that age anyway. The puppy ended up being sold to a lovely couple who loves it very much and is willing to pay for the necessary surgeries. Well, I guess that's a happy ending, isn't it? Now, everything was ready, finally. The big rectangle hole was there, the dirt was gone, the puppies safe. The only thing left was to, buy the actual pool. Well, they bought it, and I shit you not, the pool is round. I mean, this is what we could afford on this budget. I don't know what you want from me. Just throw it in there. We should have kept some of the dirt. It's never gonna fill all the way around. Oh my god, what have you done, Kevin? Probably we could have planned this out a lot better, but I don't know. Sometimes you gotta play it by ear, I guess. Certainly not the dumbest Kevin that I've ever seen, but it's up there. He worked really hard though, and lazy Kevin's what really gets my goat. But he had a thing that he wanted and he pursued it, and I really don't feel like I can knock him for that. So we'll just continue on in the next one. That's fine. A fine Kevin story. Thanks for enjoying it with me. This is Kevin Pisses Off the IT Department. Yes, Kevin doesn't know what websites should not be visited. One of the many Kevins that I worked with was computer illiterate. He did not understand them at all. He'd been there for 30 plus years and they'd been using the same program for over 20, so Kevin had learned it well enough to get by. Eventually, we switched programs from an ancient system to one where you could actually use a mouse to point and click on stuff. Oh, he's navigating it all with the keyboards? That's awesome. I think we need to go back to that. In the new program, in order to sell something, you had to open a window and then you could enter your info and invoice it. After that, you could use the same window to make another invoice or close it. You could also open another window to make a second sale if you were busy. Kevin thought you had to open a new window every time. He also didn't close the old ones. He also didn't shut down his computer. A few months in, IT calls the department manager and asks what the hell Kevin is doing. Apparently his computer is slowing the POS system down for the entire company because he has so many windows open. That's hilarious to me, honestly. He's doing it on purpose. He knows his way around the keyboard. That's Hacker Man in disguise. You can't fool me. He had something like 1,200 windows open, and they looked into it because the owner of the company was trying to open sales reports, and it was taking like 5 to 10 minutes for the reports to open. A few weeks later, Kevin tried to change a price in the POS system and crashed the entire thing. It was restarted at corporate, and he crashed it 2 more times within the next hour. IT thought we'd been hacked, told ya, and took the system down until they traced it all back to Kevin. Oh yes, Kevin, the mole in the system. He knows what he's doing, bro. As you can imagine, no one was willing to help Kevin with mundane computer issues because it was massively frustrating. So what the fuck do you expect from him? You're like, I don't want to teach you how to do it. So just like, we'll point the finger every time something goes wrong at Kevin. He doesn't fucking know, okay? He's done his time. 30 years at this company, built it up to where it is and get treated like this? How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
I'm going to bat for Kevin, bro. So Kevin would announce to the room what was going on in hopes of getting some feedback. See? He's fucking trying. Bunch of assholes just like, oh, he doesn't know. He wasn't raised with an iPad. What an idiot. I'm getting so upset on Kevin's behalf. One day, Kevin closed his desk too hard and the computer shut down. After laughing, we asked if he could replicate it. He couldn't. We convinced him to call IT and we put it on speakerphone. Hi IT, this is Kevin. Audible groan. Kevin describes his problem and then says it won't happen again and asks what he should do about it. Obviously IT can't help him and they say, well, call back if it happens again. Well, every once in a while, his computer would shut down and he'd call back and go over the same scenario with IT. It was not hard to convince Kevin that IT was playing a prank on him for crashing the entire POS system. This is what I call a fucking toxic work environment, okay? Kevin deserves a lot better than you fucking people. That's what I'll say. I don't know what sort of work you do, but the place that you currently are is a mess. It's a fucking mess and you should feel terrible about it. The way you've treated this valued employee, this 3-decade employee that was here before you were fucking born, and you're like, bleh, he doesn't know how to computer. He asked you and you ignored him like he's a piece of shit. Fuck you. Okay, I'm gonna take a breath. Maybe the Gubbinses can get in here and smooth this thing over. But I think I'm right. I do think I'm right about this. Bunch of assholes.
No, Red, you're not wrong. The OP threw Kevin to the wolves. Watched a man with 30 years of experience drown in the quicksand of new interface synergy and called it progress. These people worship efficiency like a digital god. But when Kevin gasps for air, they laugh from their ergonomic chairs. The system isn't broken. It works exactly as intended, to grind the old bones into fertilizer for the next pointless update. This Kevin wasn't a Kevin. He was a casualty. Dark Gubbins.
Long-winded, but I agree with everything you said there. All in the name of progress. Fucking progress. What are we progressing towards? Can anybody answer that? Alright, get in here, son. What do you think?
Yeah, they say Kevin bad at clicky box, but me see scared old mammal shoved into cyber maze built by TikTok goblins. He remember paper handshake system that work. Now every new update ask for his soul in capture form. He scream, "Where is button?" And they point, "It moved." Me no laugh, me mourn, because one day we all Kevin Gubbins.
Yeah, we all Kevin one day, but they don't see that from where they're sitting now. They're like, he doesn't know how to use it. Isn't that hilarious? Well, fuck, man. maybe it is his fault. Maybe he's one of the boomers and this is the system that he built, you know? And he's just like, he doesn't understand that you can't go say hi to the manager and ask for a job or whatever the fuck it is. Like... I remember my grandma was like, we were going to the bank to ask for a car loan. She's like, you gotta get on your suit and stuff. And they're like, no, you just submit this form online. That's how it all works now in our digital cyber hellscape. God damn. It really is just the worst state of affairs that I could possibly imagine. I don't know, dude. Just fucking drive me up a wall. That poor guy, that poor old man, just quit, retire. Social Security not cutting it? Fuck. It really is all over. It hasn't quite fallen down yet, but boys, I'm telling you, once it happens, I'll cackle like a madman from the nearest mountaintop and scream, "I'm free! I'm finally free!" We all are. Congratulations. But really, they would never let the grid go down, you see. That's how they keep track of you. So the grid will stay up, we'll get in the pod and eat some bugs, and well, Kevin will be the first one, I guess.
Kevin is silent.
That spiraled off into something deep. I like it. Let's move into another post and see how it goes. This is Sudanese work, Kevin, which is interesting, I guess. Opie says, I work in a factory that makes powdered baby formula, and I used to work with a Kevin from South Sudan. The guy's as dumb as a brick. Before I go any further, let me make it clear that I'm not stereotyping all people from South Sudan. There's a few people from South Sudan at my job, and almost all of them are very bright, hard workers and decent people. I'm just saying that this one guy, yeah, he's a total Kevin. Here are a few examples of this half-wit stupidity. 1. We had to clean a room from top to bottom in what's known as metabolic clean because we had some powder that was medical grade, so yeah, sanitation's important. We had to wear what you call bunny suits, which are white paper jumpsuits that make you look like a giant rabbit, hence the name. Well, I see this Kevin working without his bunny suit, so I call him over. Keep in mind that he had been employed there for around 2 months, and he definitely knew better, so I said, Kevin, where's your bunny suit? And he replied, I forgot. Like it wasn't a big deal. And then I said, you have to wear your bunny suit every time you're in the high sanitation zone. He then snapped, hey, I just didn't see, okay? And then this half-wit walks off to go and what I think is put his suit on, but he's gone for about 15 minutes. I guess he just had to pout over me telling him that he fucked up. Yes, he just forgot. Now everybody take your man hours and clean up Kevin's mess. One more of these, Kevin, I swear you're gone. You've been here 2 months, nobody's gonna miss you. We'll get together at the Christmas party and say, what was the name of that fuck up? Yeah. You remember the guy who didn't put his suit on like an idiot. There are signs everywhere. Can you not read? 2. During another clean, I stepped out of the room to use the restroom. Before I re-entered the high sanitation zone, I go to these doors where we transfer paperwork and talk to operators, etc. And I ring the bell, and Kevin sees me about 35 feet or so across the room. He holds his hand up in the "what do you need" motion, and I signal for the idiot to just come to the door. But he's still like, what? I'm right here. Finally, I do get him to answer the door, and I ask him, before I go back in there, is there anything you can think of that we need from out here that I should grab? He says, RTU. It's a chemical that we use for cleaning that's kind of like isopropyl alcohol kept in spray bottles, and I said, all right, give me the bottles and I'll fill them. Kevin, oh, you need the bottles too? OP has a brief pause while I wonder how he is able to function without a brain. Yes, I need the bottles! That's not as bad, I guess. He's just the forgetful sort. He thought you were going to get new bottles. He thought we just had infinite spray bottles laying around. 3, I was working on a big machine where cans for the formula are fed into the previous mentioned high zone. It's a long, wide conveyor belt that eventually narrows the cans into a single file. At the end of the order, we turn off the machine and cut off the supply of cans entering the high zone. This is known as cutting the cans. Kevin notices that the big belt's only half full, so he signals me to tell me that I'm not adding cans. I tell him that the cans have been cut, and he still signals me that I'm not adding the cans. I tell him I'm not adding any more cans because the order's done. He still signals me, as if I'm not paying attention or something. We went through this about 2 or 3 more times before my Caucasian ass asked one of our forklift drivers, a Puerto Rican, "Can you explain to this pendejo what cutting the cans means?" At this point, Kevin's been employed there for about 9 months, so this is yet another occasion where he really should have known better. But no, he chose to eat a bowl of dumbass for breakfast that morning. Luckily, Kevin has been transferred to the first shift since, whereas I work second shift, so I no longer have to put up with him. I could go on, but I don't know, this post's long enough. Just thinking about his stupidity is starting to give me a headache. Oh, you seem so high and mighty. I think Kevin just has a way that he thinks things should go. You know, cutting the cans, the isopropyl alcohol. I could forgive both of those things. Making everybody re-clean the clean room because you were too lazy to go put your fucking suit on. You thought I forgot would fly with the FDA. They're breathing down my fucking neck out here, and here you are just stirring up all sorts of trouble, ain't you, Kevin? Ain't you? That's what you're all about, ain't you? 9 months. I can't believe he's lasted that long, honestly. Somebody's not paying attention. Like the supervisor or whatever. OP just doesn't want to report Kevin to him. He's like, well, we'll figure it out. Just let him float around. Let him be a leech on the system for a while longer. Should we? Should we really? If you think I'm being too harsh, let me ask you this. Do you want a moron near your baby's baby formula? Like from the factory, it's sealed, you thought it was safe, but no, some fucking moron, I don't know, drooled in it, dropped a pack of needles into it, like, no, he's gotta go. He can haul bricks or something. This requires a certain level of finesse, okay? I do think OP's, a little high and mighty, but okay, fine, whatever. Once we start with Kevin, then we can take a closer look at OP and pull apart all the times that he forgot or fucked things up. Like, that's what I'm saying, dude. Any of us could be a Kevin, for God's sake. But whatever. I guess it makes you feel better to get up on the high horse. Me too! That's why I do it. And I will continue doing it with the next post. Alright, we had a few male Kevins in here. We'll get a female one, just for variety. This is Kevina steals the one thing that everyone will notice is missing. It's a good title. Fucking like some kind of riddle or something like that. I work at a plasma donation center. I'm going to preface this post with 2 things. 1, I know that selling your plasma for money is a shady as hell business practice. Believe me, I tried to get jobs elsewhere. This was the only place with relevant experience that would hire me. In this job market, you take what you can get. 2, I'm well aware of the fact that most plasma donors are poor and desperate, and that some of them have addictions. That doesn't make actions like this okay. Nor does it excuse the fact that this particular stunt was one of the most profoundly stupid that I have ever heard of. Oh yeah, we get some world's dumbest criminals type of stuff. Also, it's like, sad. He's clearly got addiction issues. It's like, okay, fuck, that is messed up, but I don't know. If you don't laugh, you cry. Kevina was a donor who had been deferred multiple times for the same issue. I can't say what that issue is for privacy reasons, but I can say that donors can only be deferred for this issue a certain number of times before management steps in and says, okay, you need to take a long break from donating before you can even consider coming back. And that is what management told her on this fateful day. She had this issue happen one too many times, and thus she cannot donate for an entire month. Is it you got drugs in your system? Is that what's happening right now? Kevina did not like this, and as soon as the manager left, Kevina decided that if she couldn't get $100 a week the easy way, she'd have to get that money the hard way, by stealing it. Now, there are quite a few things that someone could steal from a plasma center without anyone batting an eye. A walkie-talkie, a needle, a bottle, a bowl. Hell, she could have taken a phone left in the lost and found, and nobody would have noticed or cared. But I guess those weren't worth enough money to Kevina. Kevina's plan was to go down the hallway, which is in the direction of the bathrooms, and she would take an AED, which is like a defibrillator, in the hallway right out of the case, and then walk out the back door. Yes, I'll take the life-saving device. Wonderful. I don't know. She knows a guy that's gonna buy that shit? What is this? How much are those defibrillators worth? I have to wonder. So Kevina's first mistake here was that this was the center's only defibrillator, and it was in a hallway frequently used by nurses and staff and donors, and there was a 0% chance that nobody would notice that it had gone missing. How she even managed to take it without anyone seeing her do it is honestly a miracle. Not only is it required for plasma donation centers to have at least one defib, but it's a necessary device because heart attacks are a real risk of donating plasma. It's extremely rare for anyone to have a heart attack as a result of donating, but it is possible. So she stole a piece of equipment that was both required by law and necessary for the safety of everyone who entered the center. She about as fucking self-absorbed as it gets, but you know, that's the mind of an addict, I suppose. Of course, it didn't take long for people to notice it had gone missing, and it took no time at all for the security cameras to figure out who had stolen it, especially because we have her face, and name, and social security number, and biometric data, and last known address. So all management had to do was find who was in the center at the time of the theft, and match the face of the thief to the right donor in our systems, but that's not all the camera caught. You see, the cameras also caught which direction she was headed when she left, and she was headed straight toward the pawn shop across the street. That's another equally shady business, I guess. Where'd you get this defibrillator from? I'm not gonna ask too many questions. Now, a smart criminal wouldn't have stolen an important piece of medical equipment in an area frequented by hundreds of people on a daily basis directly in the line of sight of security cameras, right? But you would at least think that anyone with half a brain would at least, I don't know, try to sell the stolen item online, not go to the pawn shop directly across the street from the scene of the crime. So, Kevina took the defibrillator to the pawn shop and tried to sell it. The pawn shop, of course, rightfully assumed that she did not obtain a mint condition, unopened, and unused defibrillator legally, because normal people do not just casually have medical equipment that costs thousands of dollars laying around. Even if they did obtain one legitimately, if they were to sell it, it would obviously not be unopened and in mint condition by the time they decided to sell it. Damn, that shit's worth thousands of dollars? I didn't know that. Next time I'm in a hospital, I'll think about it. That was terrible. That's like the worst car ever. What if somebody has a heart attack and you took the fucking thing? Don't let it be like this, please, for God's sake. Anyway, it was the pawn shop that called the police's non-emergency line. Part of me wants to say, wow, that was nice of them, but really it's because this lady has stolen equipment and, yeah, they walk right in here. If I shell out the money, that money ain't coming back, so, yeah, just get her out of here. This is the path of least resistance. The pawn shop also called the center to inform us of what went down with the suspect. Unfortunately, this is where my tale ends, as the details get a bit sparse. I have no idea what happened to Kevina after the pawn shop confronted her. I assume she fled the scene and is still on the run. I have no idea if the defib was taken from the pawn shop by the police as evidence, or if the police found her and took it off of her. It only took about 2 days for the center to replace the thing. I assume they bought a new one, since I would assume the original defibrillator would be used as evidence in court or something like that. 2 agonizing days of all of our staff wondering in the back of our minds if this would finally be the day that someone might actually have a heart attack, and we would be helpless to do anything except CPR and calling an ambulance. Thankfully, nobody did. But I can't help but think, how fucked up is it that somebody could have died, all because one person was dumb enough and desperate enough to steal life-saving medical equipment because she couldn't sell a part of her body for money? Jeez, yeah, that, again, we're spiraling off into some weird and depressing places with some of these stories. I don't know, man. I guess there is dumb and desperate, but yeah, selfishness is what really all of it comes down to. You thought that your fix was more important than whoever might have a heart attack in that place. And yeah, I'm sure there was no court trial. Somebody like this, dude, they're gonna get in an interrogation room, they're gonna admit to everything. No trial needed. Boom, lock her up. I don't know how much time she probably did, but yeah, you gotta do at least a little bit. It's probably not her first offense either. That's sad. All of this whole shit is really sad, you know? I was hoping for world's dumbest criminals, you know, America's funniest home videos, but I didn't get that. I got a lesson in real life and how, yeah, fucking heartless and cruel it can be at times. Gubbins, do you have anything to say to help uplift us from this story?
Me see shiny red heart box on wall. Big sticker say don't die. Kevina say but me need bus fare. And suddenly village lose the thunder rock that wakes hearts. Whole scene is scavenger economy terrarium. Donate lifeblood for coupons. Sprint across street to sell the lifesaver. Pray nobody drops mid-sentence. Me not mad at one goblin. Me mad at the maze that makes goblins. Gubbins.
Me mad at the maze that makes goblins. Yes, scavenger economy terrarium. You're going real fucking deep there, Gubbins, and I like it a lot. I also am depressed by the entire state of humanity. It's not truly Kevina's fault, but it is. You know, her selfishness, not just her selfishness, but the selfishness of basically everybody has brought it to this point. How do you fix it? How do you go back? I don't know if we can. How about you, Dark One? Get the fuck in here.
Kevina didn't steal a gadget. She yanked the fire extinguisher out of a burning building and tried to pawn the smoke. That's not Kevin energy. That's famine brain. Trade one stranger's heartbeat for rent money and call it entrepreneurship. The real horror is the plantation math around her. A for-profit plasma mill across from a pawn shop is an ecosystem designed for a desperate loop. Bleed here, hawk there, repeat until the lights go out. Dark Gubbins.
Gosh, you know, none of that stuff you said made me feel any better for some reason. I hope you move out of this neighborhood, OP. This is not a good place for you to be, okay? Not a good place for anybody to be, but I can't save them all. I can really only save myself, and I'll do exactly that. But after one more story, how about that? So let's get into it. I hope it's not as fucking depressing as this one. Fingers crossed. Maybe this will balance it out. The title hooked me. A Kevina who was a blessing. See? There's two ends of the spectrum here. That's what we're trying to demonstrate. The Kevina that I worked with was a very kind woman. She was in her late 30s, worked as a receptionist, and was always eager to try and help. Her only problem was a constant chronic case of brain flatulence. I saw her forget which way a door was opening. She was pushing it really hard and getting all frustrated, and I had to go and pull the door for her. She forgot what questions were supposed to refer to whom, to the point of not remembering that leaves are handled by HR, and one time her computer locked and she called IT in a panic that it was broken, and then entered her password, which loaded the computer, and gosh, it started working as usual, until the IT guy came to fix her computer. Maybe she has a crush on the IT guy. I can forgive the brain flatulence. I understand what that's like. There's no such thing as brain Beano, you know? I was a administrative coordinator, says OP. I did records keeping, was getting documents ready, assisted one of the senior managers, all that fun office stuff. My colleague, who was usually doing my work when I was on leave, was promoted, and the bosses decided that I should just teach one of the receptionists to do my work. Yeah, that'll save us some money, won't it? Gotta really pad that bottom line. Nobody was very eager. Part of it because many of the colleagues in my department were, well, not exactly assholes, but they were giving all my other substitutes a pretty hard time. They would ask to do something in a not very obvious way and answered any questions with, well, OP always did it, I don't know how. Most of the time, the question could have been answered by just showing the documents that I had made previously. Sometimes they just start bombarding my substitutes with things that they usually do themselves, but were too lazy to do in the moment. After that, I was usually listening to complaints about how my substitutes never knew anything and were totally incompetent. You probably guessed it, Kevina was the only one to volunteer to learn how to do my job. Dude, I hope Kevina fucking crushes it. I hope this is the greatest role in the world and she becomes CEO. I don't think this is gonna happen because of the brain flatulence and whatnot, but hope does float. So Kevina came to me to learn with a pen and a big notebook, and while explaining things to her, I realized something. She was very aware of her Kevinitis. She'd write down every new thing, and then draw the screen and mark all the buttons she needed to press to do something. I tried to explain everything as detailed as possible, and she would write down every word, and when she was doing stuff herself, she would narrate every little thing while she was doing it. Honestly, trying to teach her was a pleasure. She was very slow to remember, but followed instructions well, so she made her own instructions to follow. Yeah, that's nice. She learned how to function despite her shortcomings. All of us can take a note from Kevina, yes? Once she was trying to do something without looking in her notebook, she asked a lot of questions and suddenly said, "Oh, bear with me, I just asked because I want to do everything right." And they told her, "That's a good thing. Keep that up when you substitute for me." And she did. Oh boy, she did. As I was told when I was back at the office, every time someone would hit her with a new task she wouldn't recognize, she would bring out her notebook and start asking for instructions and writing it down. When people threw the, "I don't know, OP did it somehow" card, she'd open her other instructions she'd written down with me and start going through them one by one, asking if that was the thing. If there was nothing that they could recognize, she would very seriously say that she didn't know how to do it, but was happy to learn if they would tell her how to. She was substituting for me from time to time for about 2 years, and you know what? Nobody ever complained about her incompetence, and they very promptly learned to ask clear questions so that Kevina would do everything per her instructions. Kevina was happy to be useful. I was happy because I didn't have to listen to the tales of incompetence. My department wasn't happy, but nobody cared because they got their just desserts. The end. I mean, it seems kind of shitty that we're piling a bunch of stuff onto Kevina, but I'm glad she took it all with a grain of salt. Like I said, she's crushing it. She's the goose that laid the fucking golden egg at that workplace, and nobody has given her dues. She deserves some recognition, or, I don't know, fucking buy her a birthday cake or something. 12-pack of hot dogs. These are all yours, Kevina. Go ham. I'm glad to end with a nice, wholesome one. That's what I'll say. We don't need the guns. They'll go, "Wow, it's wholesome," and I'll go, "Yeah, it was." I hope you enjoyed it, though, friends. Sign up on the YouTube memberships or the Patreons if you haven't yet. I appreciate your support month to month. Fourth Wall, we got some merch floating around. Spotify, iTunes, I'm out there on podcast services, and I do appreciate you, friends, for watching along. As always, I hope that you will remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I will see you again tomorrow. So until then, friends, bye-bye.
何ば